Yeah, this is the poem that I'm gonna read. Um, no, I'm just kidding. This isn't the poem I'm gonna read. I just think this is cool. Okay, I'm gonna try also to make some sound and see if that works. If not, I'm just gonna read. Let's see. Mm, so never mind on that. Cool. So that's my little intro. Now I'm gonna start reading stuff. Um, I have a manuscript that I finished maybe like a year ago that I'm gonna read from, and I'm gonna read from another one that I'm working on currently. Um, how should I start? This poem is called Untitled, and then in parentheses, The Birds. The birds, priests of dust, called it. A lover is a phone with wings, not a cord. When the line goes dead, the knowing look loses the shape of each eye. There was a final dove that was not allowed to cross the rain. The illusion of you is subtle. Your tiny mother held you by a string as you gulped light, spitting it back out Bruce Nauman style, but each drop became a fish. When Vardaman said, "My mother is a fish," you knew he was talking about you. When you cried during assembly and said, "My mother is dead," after a harmless yo mama joke, the spirit of your ancestor who lost their parents very young had stepped in. This is called Untitled, and then in parentheses, Time Poem. That the gods shrunk one of your destinies to a bile, lay it gradually before you like blood carried by wind. A choice you make, any little thing, is an infinite sacrifice of possible worlds to enrich the altar of the now. Say no. In one path, Father's word means order conquers disorder, but another path, Mother's silence, Mother's chaos song, yoked like a disciple to pleasure, to possibility, to the shape of memory. Okay, this is called, it used to be called Okra. I don't know what it's called now. My presence dissolves. We live in the lungs of a worm. Chance operations with a text bearing my mother's name. Poor rocks that they found and consoled. The remains of a poor man's worship. We let the rain pass over us. The dreams of falling molars and wedding dresses. The tombstones writhing up out the ground like tongues, chasing our soul families. We swallow our shadows while they put rocks in hats and twiddle. A soul child has monstrous moonshine for blood, a seed from the moon that backtalked the fire. Let us trace the outline of the molondrones, the future past of a possible social architecture. Boris Kingelis says nobody is good enough for his dream cities. The falling molar says nobody. The Molondrong says no. Since I mentioned Boris Kingelis in that poem, I'm gonna paste a wiki link to his work because it's really good. You can get a sense of what I mean by his dream cities. It's a sculptural practice that he developed. This is called Untitled, and then in parentheses, Eunoia, EUNOIA, which basically means like goodwill between a speaker and an audience, good thinking, good relation. So yeah, Eunoia. And here I try to kind of mimic the stilted syntax of machine generated language, which is something that I'm interested in. Hot air is full of smoke wavered, yellow flames of candles fluttered as if startled in dark, lime whitewashed walls of the temple cover damp stains, easy simple rhythm gaining strength. On the wall of the temple hangs yellowed a photo in a frame. next to her tearfully statue of Virgin Mary. My presence to me until now remains unresolved. From plates on the earth lifted severed bull's horn clogged glass. They don't know that for a few hours to be eaten is a spirit, urgent voice gurgling, suddenly filling the temple to the ceiling, precise combination of short sticks, soil from several sacred places, the bones of the dead, stone ingots wrought from lightning, congas warmed over a fire in the corner of the patio, drum singing, decanted in wall of sound, all kind of wavy, more intently drew lines and arrows, and floor, what does it say? I whisper in your ears. Deep drum strike, temple my vibrate my temple. He moves his mouth to the floor and blows smoke carefully. Okay, so I haven't read any of these before. You gotta bear with me. I'm figuring out the voicing as I go, and then told myself that I should try to read things that I haven't read before. So that's, what I'm doing. This is called Silence. Um, the meaning is cooked from a variety of dishes. This seed is blue. This is a blue seed. This is the name given to waiting. Return it to the chain store and talk about where things used to belong. Quotation is a big idea that produced hardly any context, alienating the red straw that demands you cannot make your own bullets. If you share bullets, they must typically be your own. Yet I only ask numbered questions. Will I dream about where one word ends and another begins? Will a question be perceived if it is worth asking? If you think it is distinct, if you think you've not seen it, something is in fact there. You are determined to see the questions off, wave your handkerchief at the port, some configuration of tense and sentence, teeth, capabilities of human function to dream about ourselves and culpability. And in this world, the jester becomes the queen. Her soothsayer gazes into a milky sphere, says, this room, by the nature and color of the sign, is the structure of mourning. This room is a lost experience, and thunder splits the image of a gnarled library. Fawns made from blood rights address the court. Fawns say, and the bookshelf opens like a stone or skeleton, simultaneously with the dream of a wind that dreams, hanging in midair like hung up clothes, hanging in the language problem, in the example, in the exemption behind the tenement, in the inclusion on Gun Hill Road, on what is, this particular passage, that particular organism. If it's all hallucination, will you let me ask another question? The body sprawled, another cloistered from itself, nettled, talk of flat fingers. You make a church with your hands, the parasites that would have been made healthy. That language is their language. Present your abstract, the general produced method of flat affect, statement in open range, open form, cataloging the effects of a cut up self, opaque carcass, word body, practically talking to oneself. There is one self. It faces perennial nightmare, not quite, but close, pessimistic. So the configuration of a waxy whole thing, the new thing, even at a length of a certain point or process or metaphor, is interminable. It goes on and on. And some say the world simulates itself into existence. Whatever is going on in your head could be seen as who you are. That's what people respond to. But the plant is not in the seed. The seed is in the plant. Dust has dulled our rooms. First clouds come out, and then I became a junkie. Then I went to rehab. Then everything started happening. You talk about your life, and suddenly you can talk about your life. The demand is to make it worth reality. It doesn't stare you in the exact face, but the romance becomes a death so incredible that people write poems about it. The story becomes imagined like a story with rhythm and everything else that makes it silent. Who are you? Where are you? Yeah, that's silence. It's more of a prose poem. I've never read it before. Yeah. I've read this before, but I like it. It's called To Alice Coltrane, Turiya Sangitananda, In Sorrow for the Burned, Sayanantam Ashram, the Lilith Moon of your harp, lilt and angle of aligned planets thrum your name in concentric, coharmonic spirals, falling upward, St. Alice, St. John, living in negative harmony, conflagrated pianos blossom from your every step. Ancestors blessed you with the reverse memory, fractal geometry of lineages reflected in abstraction, the sound of light itself. Tears fall to my feet like a wriggling bug. This bottomless well of loneliness could be a neighbor. I gently smash lilacs against my face, calling out to you, Alice, dynastic, like the city inside the manioc. Manioc is cassava, um, important indigenous cuisine of South America and the Caribbean. There was a bioengineering project that these brilliant ancestors developed to detoxify the manioc through a sluicing system, netting system, so that the toxins in the plant could sluice out and they could boil it and eat it. From that, sweet yucca, sweet cassava, sweet manioc, genetically evolved, and we don't need to remove the toxin anymore because we've got this sweet yucca and it doesn't have the toxin in it. So, yeah, bioengineering, ancestral AF. Okay, this is another section of this manuscript. And these are explicitly devotional poems, so if you don't like the religious stuff I've been reading, get ready for more. I did read this. This is the first poem published from this manuscript, I think. It's called Demiurge, and it was published thanks to Claire Schwartz at Jewish Currents. I like this poem. Take my awe from me, and I have no weapons. You put me in headless Eden. The world does not answer back. The heart makes a nothing of universes. Goad the latex sky. The river sprouts moons for no reason. I live for boxy smiles. You live vectorly, stealing mouths and sickly dry radiance to speak of another's pain. I have no weapons. I have hurricanes and spider's nests, but even that they took. My audience is the dead who want to cling, but it's too shallow. The living can never find us here, not while this world and the possible worlds are the dream of this creature, bean counter in a steel cloud, demiurge, skin wearer. The moon carved us this tongue space, this angel zone hardened by infinite geometries. Don't make universes out of nothing. Use what's there at hand. Take it easy, but take it. Take my all. I have no weapons. All's where in love and for. I like that one. Okay, I've never read this one. This is the title piece of this book. I'm not going to say the title because the book doesn't have a publisher yet, but make believe it's called Untitled. The strange and secret rooms of your voice. It waters its own flowers, but the flowers are tiny old men that feast on heaps of cig butts and hang things on string for fun. I was not the first to reach this memory. Who put it there? God, yes, against this light from a purple edge leaf lodged in my mind, we see again your mother holding you by that same string. But looking closer, we see the string is a song. Oh, this place of stripped rocks in Guadeloupe, in northern Dominican Republic, where we burn trash. Here each angel moves forward to relinquish her name. Worlds are snuffed out. We never had access to these worlds, but it still hurts to witness because we had access to the names. And even those who don't believe in gods may still fear their secret names, encoded like lineages into the angels. Only the mothers learn these names, at least in my family. And those who jumped overboard may have had to transform in order to reach rest. We love Amiri Baraka, but the bones at the bottom of the ocean need to rest. They don't need to be a railroad. And there is no final witness if the past is not yet past. When you ingest the enemy to become stronger, Carib, Caliban, cannibal, and make a flute from the femur bone, you can play a blood melody that builds two versions of a stone castle. On closer inspection, you see it's not stone, but ossified coral, millions of years of fossils encoded on its surface. I was not the one who asked you to come forward, you hear someone say. Yeah, so that poem comes from an experience in the capital of the Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, where I was born. And in the colonial zone, there are some really old buildings that were built by enslaved indigenous and African people who were sent into the ocean by the Catholic Spaniards to get this ossified coral, which, you know, from a distance looks like stone. And so they built administrative buildings, churches, stuff like this from around 1492 to 1520, basically. And yeah, it's a thing that looks like stone, and you come closer to it and realize, oh, this is like coral from the ocean. Okay. How am I doing on time, David, or whoever's keeping track of that?
You're doing well. About 5-6 more minutes, if that's okay. No?
Cool, yeah. Cool. I'll read, like one or two more things. This is called dream transcriptions, the transcription of a dream. Take me to where sun screams for moon's returning embrace, its fiery rage, no solace for the burn of loneliness, no still center, only the mostly empty space of which thoughts and objects consist, careening like the sun on a path unseen, devoid of symmetry. And yet nothing can fit in all that void, but a gaze whose source we suspect is alien. The call is coming from inside the house, the death and rebirth cycle of a million worshipped suns. What does this have to do with loneliness, with the sacred bonded pair of sun and moon? The more human I become, the less I understand. You told me I was thrown into the world like a gesture meant to decay into nothing, the Pentecost of linearity. Forgetting things happens in the image of God, Solem Elohim. Imagine the Afro-Portuguese Dominican colonial fur trapper and merchant, Jan Rodriguez, who falls asleep in 1624 to wake up in 1970 in the Bronx to a scene of slumlords burning tenements for insurance. For so long, he went around saying, bro, I'm from the first city in the New World. I'm the first non-Indian on Manhattan or Nanchqua. Or Nanchqua is the indigenous Lenape name for the Bronx. My fur game is crazy. Now, in the post-apocalyptic context of the late 20th century Bronx, his skills prove useless. He rides iron snakes, sizzling with colored symbols on their surface, struggling from one weird, low-paid task to the next, trying to read the symbols on the trains, always covered in a thin film, a scuzz of hatred, hoping for time to himself to come to grips with it all and think about his lost family. He works with a local Afrocentric spiritist to eventually learn that his own soul has transmigrated from a Moorish woman from Al-Andalus, who died by her own suffering. I found your photo in a notebook. I remember I wouldn't go into the water with you. I'm sad because images don't come to me anymore. You tell me this isn't exactly your kind of place. Sound is the death of the unthought, the beginning of time, and the moon grew so big it touched the surface of the language. Is somebody knocking on my door? 1 second. False alarm. Yes, the moon grew so big it touched the surface of the language, its glow resonant at the interfaces as it broke, and that's a Majora's Mask reference. Stand naked before mystery, working on the other side of time, and that's a Sun Ra reference. God assigns us each a monster to care for. The last time we spoke, I saw 2 versions of a stone castle trapped in a falling molar. An informatic universe is a sexy universe, and it's got you stuck off the realness. And that's a Prodigy from Mob Deep reference.
Just wanted to let you all know we're gonna do a quick intermission. It's gonna be about 5 minutes or so for the intermission. Just wanted to say thank you again, Manuel, for that beautiful, beautiful invite into your space and energy and filling up this virtual space with such a beautiful wave to start off. After the intermission, about 5 minutes, I'm going to kick it back to David, and we're going to move on to our next reader, which we're very excited for both readers. But yeah, we're really excited for everyone to be a part of this and be here tonight with us. Another thing I wanted to say, again, we are accepting donations. Suggested donation of $5 will go straight to the readers and the artists tonight. If you feel the need to do so, if you're enjoying yourself tonight, please, please, please think about donating. And we're going to just listen to some tunes for now and move on. So thank you all for being here. Really, really, really grateful for this.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to introduce Jerome. I'm very excited. I almost have too many words to say about Jerome, which amounts to maybe the most giant of silences, caught in my throat, or simply the sight of a heron flying across the sky at dusk. They're kind of silences, but sounds so large they span a universe. I will say it is an exquisite pleasure to know of someone for some time and to hear such wonderful things about them from dear friends, and then to meet in person and to be, delighted in all the ways. I feel truly privileged to know Jerome, and the world is undoubtedly better, stranger, and more profound for everything he does in it. Anyways, I'm delighted for you all to share in that with us tonight. And so with that, Jerome.
Oh, David. Oh, thank you. Thank you, David. If we were meeting in person, then I would come and give you a hug for your very generous words, for all you are. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here with you all. Thank you, David. Thank you, Leandra and Lena and James and Segue and Artist Space for inviting me into this time together. Thank you all who are gathered here. And Manuel, to be reading alongside you, and so many words that you shared are staying with me, and I want to just read a list of some of the words that I wrote down that you read. The remains of a poor man's worship. We swallow our shadows. Eunoia, I think that was the word. Startled in dark. The meaning is cooked. Ancestral AF. Pentecost of linearity. Sound is the depth of the unthought. And I was so moved, Manuel, the way the camera was when you were reading. I was so grateful to look up at you. That felt really, really significant and really, and like a special opportunity. I was grateful for that. And so moved also by like the presence of untitled and titled at the same time in several of the poems that you read. I find that so beautiful. And in Norfolk, Virginia, from land that has been stewarded by the Chesapeake peoples. And I want to also express gratitude to my friend Abreu, who is here with us. And color and shape. And I am, so grateful to know you. And my friend Chris, who is also with us, who I'm also so grateful for. And all that I learned from you, Chris, about how to live. I next want to just talk to this maple tree that is outside of the window here. And I'm going to turn my computer a little bit so that I can face it. Maybe I'll be a little darker, but that's okay. Okay. Yeah, I've been spending time with this maple tree, this red maple, today. It was a very sunny day here in Norfolk, and my best friend and I were spending time admiring this maple, and I just want to talk to it for a while and say thank you for, first of all, this red. It's so beautiful and powerful in the winter landscape, and the way that you reach up and down at the same time. Teaches me so much about how to do the same in my spirit and reach left and right and in so many directions at once, and reminds me that reaching doesn't just have to be in one direction. I can reach in many directions at once, and that is okay. And thank you for your age and just being here for all the years that you have been here. And I don't know your age, and I'm so grateful for that. And there's a brick building next to you, and the bricks are also like a deep red. And thank you for offering your color to us. And the branches you provide for nesting places for birds. And I also just love the way you're interacting with these power lines, just with like such grace and sharing space. So generously with the power lines and all of the human presence here that we just have not earned such grace. And so thank you for thank you for your endless generosity and the way that you're moving in the wind. Thank you for teaching me how to move and how to dance. And thank you for showing me how to hold complexity within myself. Like I look at you and there is an overall shape that I see that reminds me of a vase. And at the same time, there's so much happening with all of your limbs that right now there are no leaves. So I have the gift of admiring your limbs and buds, and there's so much complexity that I see. And thank you for showing me that and reminding me how to be with all the complexities that I try to move through. Thank you for your stillness. I'm going to just read a little bit from a poem that is, I call it an octave. And I'm thinking of the word octave, which in music refers to the interval, the space between one note and the same note but higher. So like if I were to sing la la or la la. Those are all separated by octaves. And in certain Christian traditions, it's the name for an 8-day long feast or holiday in celebration of various saints or holy figures. And I have been writing these octaves in honor of enslaved ancestors whose lives are documented in newspaper advertisements from the 19th and 18th centuries, from the UK, the US, Latin America. When an enslaved ancestor would run away from the people who had been trying to enslave them, sometimes the enslavers would place an ad with a description of the enslaved ancestor and a reward amount. I've been writing to try to shape ceremonies to honor them. And so this, I'll read a bit from this octave that's in honor of a enslaved ancestor named Mercury. I'll read from an octave in honor of an enslaved ancestor named Kit. And Kit ran away in August of 1743 from somewhere in England. Music is a clock of snow. Time had on a jacket of music. The stone shall receive the blue liquor of music, a concert of snow. Stutters may be a sign of lying or a sign of liquor or a sign of exchange. Now, next, lion of snow. Your stutters shall weigh music. You pray for stutters again. Pray to the snow again. You offered your name to the morning. You carried your name in a box of snow. Morning heard all things. And I'll say that the octave is created by only using words and fragments of words that are found in the newspaper advertisements. And so there's one advertisement in this specific issue of this newspaper that is the advertisement for this enslaved ancestor kit. And then every day for 8 days, I then add a new advertisement in the same newspaper. And so there are advertisements for a concert and advertisements for somebody loses a notebook and they place an ad to try to get their notebook back. And so all the words are restricted to those from the ad. And Kit spoke with a stutter. So that's why the word stutters appears. I'll stop there. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Jerome. That was so beautiful. We're so appreciative of you and Manuel for this time and space and providing such beautiful energy on a cold February evening. I am going to, well, we're going to open it up. We want to invite the audience and viewers to come in and open up your videos and unmute yourself if you would like to just speak and have questions.